Hello folks, so I'm going to now go through the process for be an engineer, the electrical engineer. And so electrical engineers of course deal with circuits and automation and things of that nature. And so today we're just going to build a simple touch circuit with some in your kits you should have gotten a piece of wire that's already been stripped. You should have a buzzer. Okay, you should have one or two batteries. One battery will be fine. Two batteries is better. And some brads or paper fasteners, whatever you want to call them, and a piece of cardboard that you cut to about 5 by 8, roughly. As this is the backing that we'll put our buzzer on. Okay. So first thing is we want to notice that there's an A and B, a positive and negative side to the battery. Okay, and we want to make sure that we take, oh, you also need tape, I forgot. So I have duct tape, but you can have, use masking tape is also good. I suggest that you keep your pieces as small as possible. And I haven't cut this up yet, but we want to keep them as small as possible because the taping can get a little cumbersome at times. And so I'm going to cut off a couple pieces here that I'm going to use. Also do have some scissors that might make it easier for me to cut this up a little bit. But you'll use masking tape, which is much easier to rip. It's sticky. Duct tape is sticky, sometimes too sticky. So I'm going to be using that. So the first thing is we want to just test. I want you to explore the battery and the buzzer. Now, in order for a circuit to work, you have to have basically a circle. So I have input and output for the buzzer, okay, and I have the battery. So I want to just test the sides. This time I'm going to test the black wire. I'm going to put it on this end, and I'm just going to hold it with my finger. And I'll put the red wire on the front end and see if it works. So now I know that's correct. So let's just see if it works the other direction. So I'm going to take the black wire, I'm going to put it on this end. All right. And the red wire, and there is no circuit there because in this case, this buzzer has a positive and negative side. Some buzzers don't. Sometimes it doesn't matter. But in this case it does. So we're going to make sure that we tape the red one to the positive side of the battery and the black one to the negative side. Okay, so the first step is we're going to take our cardboard like this. Okay, and we're just going to take, and we're going to actually, first thing we're going to tape our buzzer down. I'm going to move some of this stuff out of my way. We're going to tape our buzzer down, okay, to one of the corners. It doesn't really, I think I'm going to tape it to the lower corner actually. And you'll see, so I think I'm going to do it to the lower corner, so I'm going to take a piece of tape, duct tape. Okay, get enough, big enough piece so it works, and I'm going to tape it down to the lower corner. Just so it stays in place, I don't want to move it around. And it doesn't matter if it goes on the outside of the cardboard. Please note that I folded the cardboard. Okay, so there's a little fold. Okay, and then I'm going to take a battery. I'm going to put it in the fold. And it's easiest to put the positive side up or closest to the red so it works better. Okay, and I'm going to tape my battery in place as well. Okay, just so it doesn't move around a lot. Now I'm going to take the red wire and I'm going to tape it to the positive end of the battery. I know it's a little bit hard to see, but this is the camera I have. I didn't have access to my better camera. So I'm going to take a little piece of duct tape, and not too big a piece, and I'm going to take the red one and I'm going to connect it to the tip of the positive. Now it's really important, sometimes this doesn't quite work the way we want it to work, but we want to do the best we can, so I'm going to do the best I can and try to hold. Now I want to see if the circuit is actually working, so I'm going to take, and I know when I touch the black wire it should work if it's functional. So I'm just going to test it real quick, and it does have a circuit. I can hear it. All right. All right, now, so I had this other length of wire, okay, like this, okay, and what I want to do is, although this wire is probably really long, you probably don't need this length of wire, I'm going to tape this end, one of the stripped ends, to the negative side of the battery. Okay, and the interesting thing about electricity, it doesn't really know what it's going through. It just knows it has to have a conductor, and this happens to be aluminum, I believe. And again, I'm just trying to get a small piece of tape, and whoops, don't need too big of a piece of tape, and I'm just going to tape it on there. And once again, once I get it taped on there, I'm going to make sure my circuit still works, because it's really important. If the circuit's not working, it does us no good. Okay, so now I'm going to take it and just touch these ends. Here's the black end, the stripped end of the black wire, and here's the other end of the stripped wire. And if I touch them, I should hear some buzzer, and I don't, which concerns me. So let me see what's going on. I got to check and make sure my connections are good. So let me just take this off a little bit, and I'm just going to hold it with my finger. That way I can make sure it is working. Okay, so I just got it, and you might have to do this yourself, and that's a good thing I showed you that it could have a problem, so I'm going to try again. So I taped it on there, and now I know that circuit's good, and I want to make that a little bit more secure. So I want to get that in there, make sure that's secure. And you may want to use an extra piece of tape or two, so I'm going to do that myself just to tape it in there a little bit better. Okay, to make sure it's secure. And actually, I'm going to tape this wire down a little bit too. That'll probably be helpful. So I'm going to tape this wire here, and I'm probably going to give another piece of tape on the end. Okay, like down here, another, just to tape it down so it doesn't move around a lot. And I want to test it one more time to just make sure it's working. And it's not, so I have to adjust it again. You know, this is the way this is the game. Okay, because we're using some loose materials here, and I guess I should have waited to tape it down until I had everything in place, but let's try it again. Okay, that's in place. That should be good. Let's just check it out. So I know that's working now. Huh, it was working a second ago. It's moving around a lot, I guess. That's the problem with this kind of stuff. So let's do it again. Let's make sure it's touching. It's got to be touching. If it's not, it's a problem. Let's see. So I can see the problem. It's not touching hard enough. That I got to make sure that wire touches securely, because if it doesn't, then I can't get the system to work. So let me adjust this a little bit, and you're gonna have to do the same thing, I'm sorry to tell you. So we want to make sure this wire is attached securely to that particular terminal, and it's taken a little bit of effort to get it done. And again, I will do the best I can, and you can see it's just a trial and error. You'll have to do the same thing. I promise you, you're gonna have to do the same thing. Let me see if that's any better. Still having problems. Trying to figure out why is it having so many problems. Maybe I'm using too much tape, huh? That's always a possibility. And again, let me test it to make sure it's working. So because if the battery's not working, then we need to start all over again. So let's do it again. So I know it's working then. And I got to get a piece of tape on this to make sure it works. And that's where I'm having the problem. And you'll probably have a similar, well, you may not. You may be lucky, and you may not have the same issues I'm having. But I'm having trouble making sure it's secure enough and touching so it will work. Okay, so I know it's working. Let's try it again. Alright, so we're going to leave it like that for right now. Maybe make some adjustments. The next thing is I'm going to attach the pointy end to the black wire of one of the paper fasteners. Okay, and again, these conduct electricity, so because they're metal. Metals are a great conductor of electricity. So I'm going to go ahead and attach that like this. And again, it's not aesthetically, doesn't look great, but hopefully it does the task. And again, after I do each step, I want to test my circuit, because this way I know if it breaks where it's not functioning. So here, this time we're going to attach the black to the brad. Hopefully it's nice and tight. Well, another thing you could do, and I think this is going to be a little better, is that these metal things will open up slightly. So if you open it up a little bit, you might be able to stick it right in there, close it up a little bit, okay, and then tape it up. And this may be beneficial. We'll see. Okay, and once again, I'm going to test it out to see if it works. I should get a signal. Okay, not too bad. Okay, and the last one is I'm going to attach this end to a brad. Okay, and so I'm just going to kind of stick it in there. I'm going to wrap it around, and I'm also going to tape it. And you probably want to tape it, so let me get some fresh tape here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and tape it myself. And again, you're going to have to explore a little bit yourself to make sure things work the way you want them to. Okay, and then I'm going to just touch these together, and I should hear a sound. Okay, so now I've kind of created the inside of the buzzer, right? And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold this over, I hope, and have stuff dangling out. I hope I'm folded. Okay, and if we look, basically, if we weren't able to see it, okay, if I had it this direction, let me turn it this direction, this will be better. So normally a buzzer would be enclosed, right? Everything would be enclosed within a system. Okay, and so our system would be a touch buzzer like this. Okay, notice this is not a great system, okay, but it is a system that works. Okay, so your challenge is to look at your system, look at the materials you have, and try to design a more efficient system. Okay, and so you know how a touch buzzer works, but maybe it's hard for someone to grasp both ends of a buzzer and touch them together, right? So maybe it's tough for them to do that. So you want to take some time to explore, try some other designs, but this is a general touch buzzer system. Okay, so take some time, look in your lab book, do some planning, and hopefully you come up with a new design. And you can see it's a lot of trial and error, so I wish you luck, but don't quit. Okay, if you want, you can always add a second battery, and you explore, you figure out how to use a second battery. Okay, it will work with a second battery, and it actually adds voltage, so it should increase the volume of your buzzer. But give that a shot and see what happens. And thank you very much.